we also need to reestablish a sense of honor and a sense of manners. I go walking almost every morning in my neighborhood, and it's a suburban area, Spring, Texas, and every day during the school year, I walk past bus stops, and I will say hello invariably and greet all the kids as I pass. And only gradually have some of them started to answer me at all. And I can't even imagine that, because I grew up in the same country, at least ostensibly, and it never would have occurred to me to have an adult say hello and me to not say anything back. But that's the way kids are being brought up today. And I think the only way that we can make any dent in that is to consciously continue to be courteous to people, even when they're not courteous back, and to re-implement some old-fashioned manners, and also practice and value hospitality. And of course, our life should be centered in the church. That should go without saying. But I also think that we need to the extent possible, reconnect with the soil, even if that just means having a garden in your backyard. My wife has a garden in the backyard, and generally I enjoy the garden by watching her work in it. But she does ask for my help occasionally. But my wife grew up in rural China before she went to Hong Kong, I think at the age of 6, or maybe it was 9, I can't remember. But so she actually lived in a rural area, and I think that she has a little bit of a love for that beyond what the average American has because of that. I'm one generation removed from the farm. I didn't grow up on a farm, but when I was a kid, though, we had relatives that had farms, and I would go visit them, so I had some idea of what farm life was like. Whereas the further you get away from having a connection with that, the less connections you have with the land. And St. John Chrysostom talked about the need for people to get out in nature. Pilgrimages were one way that you can do that. But living in a city is not natural. The first city we read about in the Bible was established by Cain, and Cain was not the good guy in the story. We were really made for a rural life. We were created to tend a garden. And I think that to the extent that it's possible, we need to try to reconnect with that, even if it's in small ways. But certainly, if you're able to do it in a bigger way by moving into an area where you can actually have enough land to do things like raise chickens, maybe goats or pigs or something like that, we should try to do that. Because a kid who grows up with farm animals is going to have enough sense to know that there's men and there are women. They're not, 57 genders.